Well, Cher is criticizing 2020 Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders after he said criminals should have the right to vote. In a CNN town hall, Sanders said he would support giving incarcerated felons like the Boston Marathon bomber the right to vote because he wants a high voter turnout. Cher asked her more than 3 million followers, does Bernie Sanders really believe people in prison who are murderers, rapists, child molesters, Boston bombers still deserve the right to vote? She has since taken down that tweet.
This week, the Supreme Court considers whether to count self-identified illegal immigrants in the 2020 census. Cities say they are worried that adding a citizenship question would undercount 6.5 million people. Their argument isn't just about political power, but it's also about billions of federal dollars.
Immigration attorney Pallavi Ahluwalia is on the KOGO News Live line. And Pallavi, the census is meant to give us an idea of who we are and an overview of the people in this country. Is this question illegal?
It's not illegal, but this has not been part of the questions earlier. And the point in not counting them is that if people understand that this is the way of the federal government to get where they live and what their status is, they will not respond to the optional question of responding to the census. So it's not a requirement. So there will be people who will just opt out, and there will not be a correct count of people in the country.
So is there a compelling reason that we should not ask this question outside of that? I mean, we can't make anybody answer anything if they don't want to.
Correct. I would say the compelling reason to not want to answer or to not have that question, and I think from yesterday's discussions at the Supreme Court, and the decision won't come out until June, that the conservative court was tending towards adding that question to just get the accurate status of people in the country. But I think it's going to exclude people from responding, and then there will not be enough numbers that can justify the allocation of even federal funding or how states allocate funds. So I think there will be a miscount if we add that question.
So it seems the most efficient way to deal with illegal immigration is to fix what many say is a broken system. So how do we do that if we have no idea who's here?
So the last count that there was a count that has been going on for a while, and I think there are about, if we were to count up, I think there were about 12 million people who are here without authorization or don't have legal status. So that's about the count that remains there. But see, the concern here is, and especially in the enforcement stage that we are at right now, in a compliance-based stage, nothing wrong with the compliance aspect, but the enforcement stage that we are at, people are worried that this is an attempt to find them and purge them or have them leave the country. If we're going to call it a deportation, then so be it. So, but at this time, I think that's the concern, that will not have people respond to the questions.
So, I mean, with that concern, I mean, you are here without authorization. So that's an expectation one would think that they live with every day.
They also think that they have different things that are going on in their favor, and that would be maybe having had kids that are born here, ties to the country. And so there is some benefit to be, that we can come up with if we were to realize that there are people here that are also contributing. So we're seeing a lot of reports, and they're all over the place. And FAIR is an organization that has some reports as to what the immigrant communities take away. But I have stats that talk about the immigrant households that have earned 1.5 trillion in total income and 4.5 billion in taxes in 2017. And if you were to talk about just undocumented immigrants, and these of course are legal ones, but if you were to talk about the undocumented immigrants, and we have more than 200 billion in total spending power that have paid about 27.2 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. So there is an economic benefit to having them, and of course they should be brought into the society legally. But sending 11 million people out, I think that's going to be a little bit of a burden here to the country and to everyone else. And also it's going to impact the economies in ways that we don't realize. Texas alone, and I think even California, has about 38 billion that can be the net economic benefit of immigrants to those to that state, and Texas is about 12 billion.
All right, thank you for your time, immigration attorney Pallavi Ahluwalia. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.